Hello and welcome to today's webinar, which is on how can IoT simplify adding visibility and intelligence to supply chains. My name is Jeremy Cowan and I'm co-founder of IoT Now, and it's my real pleasure to be your moderator today. Thank you for joining us around the world. This webinar is brought to you with our partners at Qualcomm, who are our sponsors today, so a special thank you to them. We're going to be looking today at the challenge of inventory distortion that's facing enterprises. Now, I have to admit, I hadn't fully appreciated the scale of the problem until now. Qualcomm reports it is costing corporations worldwide $1.9 trillion every year. That is a staggering sum and explains why smart retailers are investing heavily in cloud-connected Internet of Things solutions to gain greater control and agility in their supply chains. Today, we want to share how to find or how to create the best IoT solutions for your own business without getting lost in all supply chain complexities surrounding this. And we're going to hear about the Qualcomm Aware Platform and how it can help you achieve digital transformation for your logistics. So please stay tuned to find out more about what inventory distortion actually is and how it affects your bottom line, how real-time inventory visibility can help you optimize your operations and reduce costs, how the Qualcomm Aware Platform simplifies IoT deployment and management, and finally, how to get started with the platform and see immediate results. Now, to help us understand this, let me introduce our two speakers. Rod Forter is a Senior Director of Business Development for the Asset Tracking and Logistics segment at Qualcomm Technologies, Inc. Thanks so much for joining us, Rod.
Thanks, Jeremy. Great to be here.
And Mohammed Ansari, who is also a Senior Director of Business Development for the Qualcomm Aware Platform at Qualcomm Technologies. It's really good to have you here, Mohammed.
Thanks, Jeremy. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you both. Now, don't forget, everyone, as usual, this webinar is being recorded. And from tomorrow, you can access the audio and slides at iot-now.com. So in a moment, we'll be asking you to share your thoughts with us in the first of two quick audience polls. And then we'll hear from our speakers and see some short videos that will explain the solution in more detail. And finally, I'll be putting your questions to our panel. So you can start sending me your questions right now. Type them into the questions window, which you'll see at the bottom of your screen, and we'll discuss as many as we can. Of course, if you're having any technical issues with audio or slides, you can also use the question window to get help from our excellent tech support team. So here's the first poll. Let's look at what is being discussed in the market at the moment. If looking to add more connectivity and digital intelligence to your business, what are your main needs? And you can answer as many of these answers as you like. It's multiple choice. You can tick more than one box. But remember, if you want to see the results coming in live in real time, you'll only see that if you click on an answer yourself. So please submit your vote and we'll be interested to see what happens. So the first question is, if you're looking to add more connectivity and digital intelligence to your business, what are your main needs? And let's see what results are coming in from our audience. There is a neck and neck situation with the solution needs to be more affordable and easily deployed. I would say that it's slightly ahead, changing all the time as we get more replies coming in. that slightly ahead of the solution needing to work with an existing cloud or enterprise resource planning system. And somewhere behind that, the solution needs to be easily scaled to additional sites to meet changing business needs. Rod, coming to you first, if I may. The answers are still coming in from the audience, but what was your expectation? Is this about what you thought would happen?
Yeah, I think as we'll discuss, I mean, I think there's great opportunity in IoT, but there's significant complexity, right? Things need to be interoperable with platforms that folks already use, and not just interoperable, but they need to meet a specific ROI. I think that's one of the major complexities that's preventing digitization today. Is folks don't know how to build a business case around the deployment of IoT broadly across their entire supply chain, and so they do it sort of piecemeal at this point. And I think that ROI is something that we're hoping to help solve with the Qualcomm Aware Platform.
Definitely. Looked at from the perspective of the platform and as someone very instrumental in it, Mohammed, was this what you were expecting to see?
Yeah, not surprising at all. Any solution that needs to be more cost effective, but also be able to integrate with existing systems on the cloud side, on the ERP side. Supply chain, surprisingly, still sort of siloed. And I think that interoperability and integration capabilities is really essential to deployment of these solutions. So I'm not surprised perfectly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the scaling issue to additional sites coming in slightly behind the other challenges. Mohammed, that was in line with expectations as well.
Yeah, I think it is important, but it is, as the audience is also suggesting, it's sort of second order importance. But yes, scaling to multiple sites, sometimes on-prem deployments required, definitely also needs to be addressed as part of solution deployment.
Very interesting. Guys, we're going to keep that poll open throughout the event. So if there are any latecomers joining the call who want to vote, they're very welcome to. And that will reflect in the changing percentages. But let's move on. Very interesting to see those. But I'm going to hand over now for the initial comments from Rod, if I may.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeremy. Appreciate everyone taking the time to listen in. We wanted to talk a little bit today about Qualcomm's new Aware platform. The growth of the Internet of Things over the past few years has really been tremendous, and it's enabled a more connected world. I think even as we feel more disconnected, and as we deal with the challenges of a global pandemic, remote work, remote school, supply chain disruption, and much more. So at Qualcomm, we've really had a front seat to the explosion and the growth of connected things. That's what we do at Qualcomm. We look for a world where things are more connected. But while you think of Qualcomm probably as a company that sells modem and processor technology into smartphones, over the last few years, we've seen a significant diversification in our business. Growth in areas like automotive, significant growth area for Qualcomm, but also in the industrial IoT segment. We've sold hundreds of millions of chipsets per year into that segment. And so we've really had a front seat into the digitization opportunities and challenges in IoT. And so, when we look at the market today, we're really looking at a market where folks know they need to digitize, but it's hard for them to get started. And there's significant complexity, fragmentation in this market that provides significant barriers to beginning. And not only that, there's also the ROI problem. Folks need to see a return on the investment in putting devices onto their packages, onto their pallets, onto their shipping containers, into their delivery vehicles. They need to be able to build a business case for that. So there's significant complexity, there's technological issues to overcome, and there's business issues to overcome. Is the ROI there? And really those challenges are universal across all the business segments that we address at Qualcomm, from retail and payments to energy and utilities to warehouse automation. And as my colleague Mohammed will address, our Qualcomm Aware Platform, we envision that as touching all of the segments that we address at Qualcomm. And we're building tools to address the specific pain points within each of those segments. But really one area where the problem is particularly pronounced is in logistics. So that we can move to the next page. And this really speaks to the problem that we just discussed. Folks know they need to digitize, but they don't know how to get started. They need to cobble together devices, connectivity, location technology, cloud technology, ERP systems, all of these just to create, in a simple end-to-end supply chain management process. And it's really impacting the adoption of IoT as an opportunity. So if we move to the next page, we can see a little bit about the problem that we're facing here just in the supply chain area. Again, not even attempting to talk about all the problems we're facing in other segments. As Jeremy mentioned at the beginning, huge, massive costs of inventory distortion, right? Shelves are missing the products that you want, or you're overstocked in certain items. You don't have visibility into your inventory at any given time. The other piece I want to highlight here is just the sheer number of assets that are used to move goods around the world. 25 million shipping containers, 6 billion or 7 billion pallets around the world. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of those little reusable plastic containers that you see, in the aisles of stores around the world. And we talk with a lot of folks in this industry, and there is a very small fraction of those that are actually connected and trackable today, right? Less than 2% of all shipping containers, less than 1% of all pallets in the world. So there's significant opportunity there, but there's also challenges, right? You need to make it cost effective, and you need to overcome technological challenges to tracking all of these items. And if we move to the next slide, this is what really folks need. They need awareness and intelligence. They need the ability to both get information that allows them to take real-time action to adjust their supply chain. This was critical in the pandemic. Having that visibility into where goods are, being able to send additional shipments, reroute shipments, all of that. That real-time visibility is critical. But just as important, and the real promise of IoT is in data, right? And creating data-driven decisions. Data creates insights, insights creates better actions. So, if you think of the ability to track all of your goods in real time, you can start to learn a lot about, what happens to those goods along transit. Is there a place along the route where, the temperature starts to spike, or where you lose connectivity? All of that, again, over time, and through doing this thousands and thousands of times, you begin to learn and you begin to update and improve your processes. And if we go to the next page, that's really where the Qualcomm Aware Platform comes in. So again, we are leveraging our core silicon advantage, our industry-leading chipsets, and now also providing value-added services across the IoT ecosystem, and specifically starting in supply chain and logistics, and offering a few services that are really critical there. Sensor management, device management, connectivity management, so that folks don't need to now go and contract with MVNOs or MNOs and try to stitch together roaming agreements. Out of the box, with the Qualcomm Aware Platform, you'll have global cellular connectivity. You'll have hybrid location technologies that allow you to locate goods indoors, outdoors, in urban areas, in suburban areas, wherever they might be, and whatever environmental challenge there might be. And all of this, again, trying to be delivered through this open interoperable platform We're not trying to create a closed walled off garden here. It's intended to be a data pipe, provide these operating system like utilities along with solving the device problem, but allow folks to consume all the data that's coming off that information in whatever platform, in whatever module, software tool they would like to. So a very API first driven approach here that allows us to integrate easily with whatever platform you might already be using. So with that, let me I think we're going to watch a quick video that introduces the Aware platform, and then we'll jump back into it.
Around the world, businesses need to be modernized through intelligent condition monitoring, real-time asset management, and accurate positioning. That's why we've created the Qualcomm Aware Platform, an innovative IoT solution that drives the digital transformation of industries. Using a suite of web tools and APIs specifically built to create a seamless connection between Qualcomm's vast technology library and hardware ecosystem through the cloud. Developers and enterprises can easily create scalable and secure solutions to address specific business needs. Whether using a location tracker with sensors to monitor motion, temperature, and pressure, a peel-off label to position goods and detect tampering, or an ultra-compact sensor to identify tilting utility poles, the Qualcomm Aware Platform delivers awareness to any industrial IoT use case in a power-optimized and secure way. Data insights can be viewed in real time through dedicated dashboards, partner clouds, and many leading enterprise resource planning applications. So, whether tracking the location and condition of goods, assets, and fleets, managing inventory and logistics, or monitoring the operations of critical infrastructure, the Qualcomm Aware Platform empowers developers and enterprises to create digital transformation solutions for any industry.
Hi, that was an exciting video. I'll go into a little bit of the description on Qualcomm Aware and our approach on this platform and how we intend for customers and channel partners to deploy it. On the left side of this picture, you can see the connected intelligent edge. This really is about modules and hardware devices built on Qualcomm silicon. As many of you know, we are a leading provider of chipsets, both cellular chipsets, Wi-Fi chipsets, and also application processors as well. And now we are moving towards the right with Qualcomm core foundation technologies provided as an API to the customers or to system integrators. Some of those foundation technologies are location services, location tracking, connectivity management, as Rod alluded to earlier, condition monitoring, basically connecting our sensors that are on our chipsets and our modules and devices to the cloud. And then making sure that end to end, we have a very secure pipe for data and for authentication, including authentication and security of the APIs that we expose. We have the approach of exposing these capabilities as an API first model, primarily that is meant for Aware to become a composable system. We realize that on the right side, in various verticals, we have various different types of customers, the end enterprise customers, value-added resellers, ISVs, system integrators, and they have different levels of maturity in terms of digital transformation and in terms of the cloud solutions that they have built. Some folks like to take a full stack solution. Some folks like to integrate our APIs to a part of their system. So the API first approach is really meant to signify that we can become a composable system within a larger enterprise or a VAR implementation. A couple of things I'd like to talk about. What we are really changing is how developers, both on the hardware side and on the cloud side, how they really work to build IoT solutions on Qualcomm silicon. And what we have realized that the kinds of friction that exist on the left side, on the hardware side, is folks get Qualcomm silicon through a module vendor, typically today, and then they take a year or so of development time to stabilize software to make sure power consumption, for example, is appropriate based on different application needs or use cases. Folks also have a friction around providing a global connectivity solution. Believe it or not, we have been pushing cellular connectivity for many, many years, over 2 decades. And we have seen a lot of different things. We have made cellular technology more commoditized, if you will. So now IoT applications leverage that. But what we still see is that cellular connectivity globally is really still a broken. It's broken. And so what we are attempting to do with Qualcomm Aware is connect our chipsets, our modules, and our devices out of the box to the cloud with a global footprint, both from a cost perspective, because we have the scale, we can build a better cost-effective solution on connectivity, but also because we know how to work with global operators, and we know how to make intelligent decisions on the module side to support connectivity. For example, if the device is in an environment where cellular is challenged, perhaps we in the future can support some type of a low bandwidth satellite connectivity, and there'll be intelligence to switch between the two. We have Wi-Fi connectivity available in places. We may have some type of a local network deployed in an unlicensed spectrum that the device will make intelligent decision to make that switching without the developer really worrying about the complexity of that switching decision, if you will. So those are just examples of things that we see on the connectivity side that today pose a friction. Then when it comes to location tracking, we see the same thing. There's a lot of fragmentation in the use cases, in the environments of deployment, indoor, outdoor. Within outdoor, it could be an urban canyon situation. It could be a rural situation. It could be on the ocean. We are making sure that the application layer can specify its need for location accuracy, for example, the frequency of update for a location for a particular use case, and that it can do that without worrying about the underlying complexity, whether it's power consumption, whether it's which network to use, which location technology to use to make a determination. All of that complexity is really abstracted away behind our APIs. Device management is something that we also concerned with. We also realize device management for our customers is important. When they put a connected module from Qualcomm into their overall hardware, they sometimes want to manage devices themselves. So our device management, again, is based on an API first approach. We can provide some metrics, for example, on the health of the devices through our module, but then some of the device management capability may come from our customers or our channel partners. Condition monitoring really refers to getting the sensor data, whether it's location data, whether it's temperature data, pressure data, or some other type of data, or from an accelerometer that is determining whether something is in motion or something has been through a shock event. All of that information is represented to the application layer in a standardized way that it can consume it and ingest it within the right enterprise systems. Again, condition monitoring and sensing of this information requires often making decisions, trade-off decisions with what happens at the edge on the device, what happens on the cloud, And all of those decisions will be made by the Qualcomm Aware Platform. If you look at what we are doing, we are, of course, launching first in logistics and retail, which is a segment that Rod, my colleague here, is leading. But we see that these are common problems across all verticals, where asset tracking and condition monitoring is important. In use cases where it's mobile, things are moving, location tracking is also important. Where there are static assets that are not moving, often condition monitoring is the primary focus. So if you look at the construction industry, the energy utilities industries, and manufacturing, the Qualcomm Aware Platform will provide these basic services and core technologies for other developers and value-added resellers and ISVs to build specific solutions in all of these verticals. What we are trying to accomplish is both cost reduction overall and also scalability and deployment, the variation in deployment environments. Sometimes an on-prem solution is needed. Today, we are not launching an on-prem solution, but in the future, that may be required. Or if indoor tracking is needed, or work in progress use cases within a manufacturing facility are needed, Qualcomm Aware will become that foundation layer so that people can build solutions in a shorter time to market. Next slide, please. I spoke about some of the optimizations. So what we have realized is friction exists on both sides, right? On the hardware development side and also on the cloud side and the application layer as well. So what we are doing is we're building this Qualcomm Aware Platform with optimizations across the board, from the edge to the cloud. What does that mean? That means the transport protocols, for example, that are used to carry data, the location technologies that are used are all going to be optimized by us within the platform. There will be logic at the edge, and there will be logic in the cloud services that sort of addresses that balance per use case. If there is a tracking use case, indoors or outdoors, we'll make that determination. If the condition monitoring is happening in a multimodal journey across a product or inventory, we'll make those optimizations with application layer giving us very minimal information of what it demands. Power and performance, including price, which we talked about the ROI overall. How does that happen when data is being transmitted from the edge to the cloud over cellular, for example? One of the biggest costs to our customers is really the recurring connectivity cost. We can optimize that both through our scale, working with numerous operators, but also we can optimize it on how we compress the payload, how we communicate that payload in an opportunistic way during different cases, so that the overall cost of amount of data we transfer to the cloud over cellular, for example, or satellite in the future is optimized. On the cloud side, what we have seen is that instead of building monolith applications and that are tied to any particular hyperscaler infrastructure or any single ERP vendor, we are using APIs as a way to integrate both APIs that are request response based and also that are asynchronous, so that you can get alerts and updates, and you may not be bombarded with a lot of alerts, so you can set various levels of thresholds or filters through our APIs, so that only the information that you care about at the time you care about in terms of updates and alerts are represented to your application, whether it's an ERP system in SAP or in Oracle or in Microsoft 365 Dynamics. All of these things are pre-integrated in the Qualcomm Aware Platform by the end of the year. And it'll be much easier for applications that work with those systems to visualize that in a dashboard of their own or of a third-party dashboard like a Grafana, for example, or any other tool that people use. So by having this capability for pre-integrated connectors and also API-first approach, we become very composable on the cloud side. And also we are working very proactively with some of these business platforms in supply chain, for example, and in the future in factory management systems like MES systems or utility systems, that we will have a very easy way for our devices to get their data represented in those large industrial systems without the application developer doing those integrations individually. So what the system integrators will be left to do, if we execute properly, is they'll be able to customize various use cases, but not build everything on their own. So what we are building around Qualcomm Aware is the capability that requires an ecosystem. You can go to the next slide. That requires an ecosystem also on the hardware side. So ODMs who are manufacturing hardware for different application use cases. You'll have a variety, if not hundreds of ODMs in a couple of years around Qualcomm Aware. Folks who are using our silicon today, the 350 million IoT chipsets that we have put in the market, a part of that population will be building hardware with Qualcomm Aware enabled silicon or modules. And so our end customers will have a choice based on what application and what hardware they're trying to source. They'll come to the Qualcomm Aware platform and be able to have that choice. So that's very important to us, presenting that large portfolio of devices built on our large portfolio of silicon platforms. On the software side, as I mentioned above, by bringing a lot of the ERP, MES, utility, big platforms, business systems to Aware, by pre-integrating them, we create a large we cater to a large ecosystem of cloud developers, web developers that can easily consume our APIs and customize the details that they need for a use case. And basically, that enables shorter time to market. And we are hoping over time, by playing in both sides of this ecosystem, the ROI that we talked about earlier, I think Rod also referred to that, the total cost of ownership of deploying a solution, building a solution will be reduced because we sit in the middle of both sides, the supply side, the hardware side, and also the demand side, the cloud and application side. We'll be able to bridge the gap from a cost perspective, from a time to market perspective. Next. Rod, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. And, as Mohammed said, ultimately our goal with the Qualcomm Aware platform is not for Qualcomm to build each individual form factor or device that will be needed to help power digitalization. Ultimately, our goal is to enable our hardware partners to have a number of solutions that are just out of the box work for your particular use case. Maybe it's a long life, no touch type tracker, or maybe it's a reusable or rechargeable tracker. Maybe it's a disposable tracker. All of those we are going to empower our partners to make. They've already made so many of those designs. We will upgrade those designs to become Aware capable, meaning that they will have the benefit of all of these services out of the box. But we've got to get started somewhere. And so we're getting started by building a few devices to help us seed the platform, to get people to understand the capabilities of the platform. So these devices will enable folks to get the core technology of the Aware platform in a number of simple form factors that can address a number of use cases. For example, this particular tracker is a full feature tracker that provides cellular connectivity out of the box, along with all the different hybrid location techniques from Wi-Fi, cell, GPS, all of those types of techniques. Also has a number of sensors built in. So critical for what's called cold chain monitoring. That could be across food, beverage, think wine shipments that have sensitivity to the temperature, fish and meat, which may have regulations around temperature, as well as, in the age of COVID, pharmaceuticals, vaccines. All of these things, you need to understand the condition of the shipment, not just its location, but also the condition. Has it spiked in temperature? What's the humidity of the box? What is the pressure? Has it tilted? Is it a high value electronics? And maybe it tilted in the box and got damaged. Or a light sensor. Has the box or a door been opened prior to reaching its ultimate destination, which might indicate tampering, theft, counterfeiting. All of these things are enabled by a simple tracker like this. I think we've got a video that will show some of that in action next.
Hey, have you heard about the all-new Qualcomm Aware Platform? I'm Oleg, and I want to show you how this brand new innovative solution can help bring real-time asset intelligence, location, and control to any industrial use case. In fact, my colleague Sarah is on her way over here right now with a box just like this. And I want you to follow along with me in real time to see everything that happens on this journey.
I've got my package and I'm on my way.
You see, the box that Sarah is carrying is equipped with a special tracker that lets me know when she's left, when she's going to get here, and I'll know this in real time because the device is connecting directly to the cloud and I can see those insights through my dashboard. Looks like Sarah's on her way. As you can see on the dashboard, I get notified in real time if the box ever falls.
Oleg, did you catch that?
Yep, I saw it. I can see the box will be here soon. Qualcomm Aware is set to digitally revolutionize supply chains, and we're so excited to see how it helps other industrial verticals in the future as well.
Oh, apologies. So a couple of other form factors that we're working on for the Qualcomm Aware Platform. These, again, keeping in mind that we are not planning to build every different hardware SKU. We are working on a thin tracker, again, a reusable, rechargeable credit card size device that can be attached to parcels, boxes, and provide that real-time visibility into location. On the other end of the spectrum, a disposable type label, which is a cellular-based label, not a Bluetooth label. So out-of-the-box global connectivity based off NB-IoT that allows you to track parcel and box shipments around the world. And then branching beyond supply chain, we've even got a device that helps show utilities potential areas of liability. So Mohammed alluded to this. Oftentimes stationary devices need real-time intelligence, maybe not as to location, but as to condition. So this type of a sensor can alert you as to when there is potential pole tilt on utility poles, and allowing you to take proactive, preventative actions to mitigate any liability, whether that's from the pole falling over, causing a fire, or injuring someone. So again, just a few of the types of form factors we're using to help seed the platform. But again, we'll have many, many, many different types of devices that connect to the Aware platform, leveraging the ecosystem of hardware partners we've built up over the 30 plus years at Qualcomm. I think there's another video that we're going to see now that shows a little bit more about this.
This Qualcomm Aware tracker has been placed in a refrigerator to simulate condition monitoring for perishable goods that are moving through the cold chain. Once the tracker is moved to a heated environment, It tells me in real time that the temperature is rising and creates an alert once it exceeds a preset threshold. If I need to have single journey tracking, I can use the cellular connected label to peel on directly to the side of a package. I'll know if the package moves, if it's removed from a pallet, if it's fallen, and more. With this intelligence, I can better monitor produce and pharmaceuticals as they're transported through the supply chain, and I can take quick action if needed to avoid costly spoilage.
So again, just a couple more things that the platform enables. Really importantly, though, one of the pictures you saw in that video has a tracker attached to the pallet and labels attached to the boxes. This helps go to the ROI problem. Not every shipment will justify the use of a cellular tracker, especially as we push deeper indoors into warehouses. Things like BLE labels or BLE tags can be used in conjunction with some of this hardware, which will act as a gateway to the Qualcomm Aware Cloud. Again, overall helping to increase the number of goods that you're able to get that real-time visibility into without necessarily, breaking the bank. On condition monitoring, just quickly, we'll see a little bit of a video. This goes to the point I made earlier about pole tilt monitoring. It's an incredibly big problem that I don't think people know enough about. So with that, let's listen to the video.
Here you can see that we've attached our Qualcomm Aware sensor to this model of a utility pole. This solar-powered sensor is equipped with an inclinometer that detects impact, shock, and tilt. In the pole's normal state, you see 0 degrees of tilt. However, if the pole exceeds a preset tilt threshold, falls, or experiences a sudden impact from a foreign object, the sensor sends that information directly to the cloud and pushes an alert to the dashboard. This intelligence enables infrastructure providers to be more efficient with preventative maintenance and more effectively react to an event to minimize operational downtime. And it's one of the ways that Qualcomm Aware will help to build a smarter and more resilient grid.
So again, just that idea of preventive maintenance is critical. Folks want to know just not, when something has happened, the pole has fallen, they want to know before. So it's almost before real time, before it happened. So another thing that we're enabling with the platform. And now we just launched this platform in March. We're very happy to have the support of a number of our partners from across the ecosystem, across the value chain, from enterprises to systems integrators who will play a huge role in scaling this and ensuring that it works well with all of the other tools you're using. From enterprise software folks like Microsoft, from hardware partners, from module vendors to ODMs. So really across the chain, great support for this platform. Again, we view this as a game-changing platform that brings together all the various players in the ecosystem to develop a uniform operating system-like functionality that will help empower folks on their digitization journey. So I think we have one more slide, but just quickly to wrap up, we can go to that last slide. This is a great opportunity for Qualcomm. We're leveraging what we've always done well in the silicon space, in the location space, and helping to solve this fragmentation problem that exists within IoT. We're looking forward to this journey. We hope you guys will join us along the ride. And with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Well, thank you very much, Rod. That's really interesting. And Mohammed, there's been an awful lot to take in there. I'm pleased to say the audience has been sending us their questions, and please continue to send your questions. We will take them for as long as we have time. Sean asks, Mohammed, I'm going to put this one to you first. Sean asks, is Qualcomm providing just the IoT platform or both the platform and the IoT devices?
Yeah, great. We are providing an IoT platform and an ecosystem of devices from our ODMs. However, as Rod mentioned earlier, to seed this platform this year, we have commissioned 2 devices that we shared earlier in the presentation, QTS 110 and QTS 112. We have sponsored those devices to seed the platform. But the sustaining model for us really is the IoT platform with its APIs and an ecosystem of device manufacturers who will have devices built on the Qualcomm Aware silicon or Qualcomm Aware modules. So you'll have a variety of devices to choose from and a Qualcomm Aware Platform API.
Yeah, so if you're interested in devices in the short term, reach out. We do have these devices that will just work today, and if those don't meet the form factor you need, we'll work with our hardware partners to help build it.
Yeah, excellent. Rod, I was going to come to you with the next question, if I may. The questioner asks, what makes Qualcomm Aware different from other IoT platforms in the market?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think it's the overall vision for it is that we're not trying to displace other platforms. We are trying to create a uniform layer 2 that allows folks with their own IoT platforms. And sometimes I think people get wrapped around the axle with the idea of what is a platform and what's not. What's important is we're trying to provide certain value-added services like connectivity management, location management. And again, location, critical differentiator for us. We own that entire location stack, not just the GPS, but we own a database of the locations of billions and billions of access points around the world, hundreds of millions of cell towers, different types of not just location technologies, but different types of location techniques. So overall, it's the core technology of the platform, right? The location, the connectivity, the silicon. It's the ecosystem we bring behind all of that. Again, we sold hundreds of millions of chips into IoT applications, making their way into thousands and thousands of different hardware designs. All of that ecosystem is brought to the table. And then again, we're not just trying to say, you must consume all of this through this particular endpoint. It's a very open API platform that connects and works through other platforms. So, we have a number of value-added reseller IoT platforms, supply chain platforms, supply chain modules that will all utilize the information that Qualcomm Aware helps create to consume that in whatever platform you choose. So I think those are the three fundamentals: better technology, bigger ecosystem, and an open API architecture.
That's helpful. I mean, Rod has covered a fair bit of this, Mohammed, but is there anything you would add about what does the Qualcomm Aware platform include, which is the questioner asks now?
Yeah, I think Rod has covered what we are launching now, location tracking being central, device management, condition monitoring. But as we go forward, you have to think about what Qualcomm can bring in terms of running some type of intelligent software and intelligent algorithms at the edge. That edge could be devices, that edge could be a gateway, and all that could be edge at the periphery of the internet, right? I mean, at the regional level. So we continue to offer to our customers the ability to build more intelligence at the edge and not just in a centralized cloud, right? So that'll be something that we will be able to bring to market in the coming years.
That's neatly segues into what I wanted to ask Rod. The questioner here asks, Rod, how does Qualcomm Aware work with other cloud providers? Clearly, we touched on Edge. What would you add to that?
Yeah, again, and Mohammed should feel free to jump in here too, but I think it's really about that simple standard API solution, simple REST APIs that allow you to connect to any kind of platform that you want to use. This is all today running on public clouds, so we're not intending to disrupt the hyperscaler ecosystem. We're working closely with them. So again, it's really about the kind of simple interface, simple APIs that allow you to connect with other platforms. Mohammed, do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I'll take that one as well. In terms of APIs, your application could run in any cloud and still interact with Qualcomm Aware via the API as the interface. That's one level of interoperability across cloud ecosystem. The other one is if you are deploying Qualcomm Aware in an environment where you, meaning a large enterprise customer, have already been running in a particular hyperscaler cloud, and you would like Qualcomm Aware components to reside in your sort of private infrastructure. That is possible because we have taken, during our design, we have paid attention to being agnostic of any hyperscaler cloud. Our platform will run on a public cloud of our own, but in the future, we can easily run it into any of the private cloud infrastructure that our customers would choose to. But of course, that would require us to have a really good business case to enable that, right? But there's no technology barrier. Our stack is designed in a way that it can run in all the hyperscaler clouds and interact with high-level APIs on those infrastructures.
Good point. Very topical question here. One of our US questioners has said, realistically, how helpful is AI for the supply chain? Could I put that one to you, Mohammed? By realistically, I think maybe he means as of now.
I think where AI is today in the supply chain, realistically as of now, it's really trying to take that data and run some type of an analytics model in the cloud and do some predictions, right? One of the things that we, for example, will provide very granular information on location tracking. And then that can be combined with other information like route and traffic information, weather information, maybe some information around port congestions, and come up with a more realistic ETA, right? That is where the AI is today, is predicting certain things and certain KPIs based on raw data. And that's possible today. Lots of our customers are doing it. What we are providing is enough granularity in that data across different environments that you can actually make your prediction better and better. So that's where we are today.
Yeah.
There's lots of things you can do tomorrow as we bring more capability of AI at the edge. Rod, you would like to say something?
No, I think that's right. I mean, I think, as you said, just it's really about, by, again, simplifying things and hopefully driving down costs, you're enabling better across the board visibility and generating more data. And that data, can get its way into any type of AI, ML models to allow you to better improve your operations, better do demand planning, inventory planning, all of that type of stuff. So I think that's really the key is data drives decisions. And the more
Rod,
data,
I'm going to stay with you if I may on this one. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What specific challenges we're being asked or pain points exist in warehouse operations that IoT could potentially market for narrowband satellite communications? Interesting construct with warehouse operations and satellite communications. What would you have to say on that?
Yeah, in terms of first warehouse, there's significant complexity in warehouse operations, as we know, right? I was recently in the back storeroom of a warehouse of a major U.S. retailer, and it's chaos, right? And there's pallets sitting around. They don't know where they are. They have billing disputes with pallet providers as to whether this has been returned, whether that RPC has been returned. So really, from an overall standpoint, there's a significant amount of operational insights that can be gained through automation and through increased visibility into assets in the warehouse. Now, where satellite connectivity plays into that, I think we're not really certain yet, to be fair. Obviously depends on the nature of the warehouse. But from obviously satellite can be challenged in indoor areas. From my perspective, I think there are some other connectivity opportunities in warehouse, in particular private 5G, as well as mesh capability. To me, both present significant opportunities for enhanced ubiquitous connectivity in warehouse operations in a way that maybe satellite does not. Mohammed, anything that you want to add?
No, I think you're right about that. I mean, there are different types of warehouses where maybe cellular connectivity is not accessible. You'll build some type of a private network. I can imagine in some yard management solutions,
Yes.
perhaps satellite may come in handy, but you'll probably have a private network in those facilities. So I think you're right.
Okay, probably time for just one, maybe two questions if we're quick. Rod, I'm going to come to you. Which tracking technology would you suggest for continuous monitoring and end-to-end data security?
That's a big question. But if we're talking about in terms of like tracking, in terms of location technology, today I think we believe that there's no single location technology or tracking technology that's going to solve all use cases. It's going to require a hybrid approach, and that means utilizing things like Wi-Fi, cell. It means utilizing BLE, RFID, as well as power efficient GNSS in the right areas, which is not always the case in IoT. Oftentimes these devices are so resource constrained or power constrained that you don't want to be using the GNSS or GPS very often. So in terms of what tracking technology, I think the answer is you need an all of the above approach to really solve your use cases.
Okay.
Each one provides complementary capabilities and different levels of security in terms of data management. So I would say an all of the above approach is the best one for to give you both visibility into assets, both in areas you control, as well as when they move beyond areas that you control, right? So obviously, you could have different types of technologies in a captive warehouse facility or a captive campus. But in order to really get the visibility you want beyond that area as well, you really need a hybrid approach.
Okay. Just time for one more question. Mohammed, I'm going to ask you to tough this one out because it's a big question. I'm going to ask you to do it in 30 seconds. Do you think IoT has crossed the border from nice to have to must have?
I think there are pressures that we are approaching that point very soon. And some of the things have to do with the cost of deployment, which we are addressing. We think if we can address cost of deployment in some of the big use cases, that we are at the cusp of taking that from nice to have to must have. But there are other pressures. Companies like Amazon are pressuring everybody, the whole ecosystem with delivery times, right? So that's one pressure. The other pressure is coming maybe from regulations and compliance, whether it's pharma, whether it's ESG goals, right? Energy use in supply chain. All of those things are now building up where there'll be significant reasons for enterprises and customers to adopt a real-time visibility solution. And we believe that Qualcomm Aware Platform is actually going to reduce the overall deployment cost in the coming years, where we will push the market from very high tracking and real-time visibility for very high valued goods to sort of medium valued goods. So I think we're right at the cusp of this. Rod, if you'd like to add something.
Nope, I think that's well said. We're absolutely looking forward to helping make using the Qualcomm Aware Platform to help this make more and more of a difference in everyday life of companies.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, both. We are, I'm afraid, out of time. There's always more. We've had more questions that we could possibly have got through. But rest assured, we will pass on your questions if we haven't been able to ask them live now to Qualcomm, and I'm sure they will be delighted to come back. In the meantime, to everyone watching, please don't forget to bookmark our site at iot-now.com, because there you're going to find the latest news, videos, blogs, reviews, and interviews. And from tomorrow, you can stream this webinar at the site too. So it just remains for me to say a really big thank you to our speakers. Rod Forter, many thanks for your time, Rod.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. Pleasure to be here. Great conversation.
Very good. And my thanks also to Mohammed Ansari. It's been great to have your expertise too, Mohammed.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me here.
Most of all, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us around the world. Keep safe, and we look forward to welcoming you back soon for another mission critical webinar. And from me, this is my last webinar with you. Let me say it's been a huge pleasure to share with you the knowledge and skills from all our experts around the world over the years, and most recently with Qualcomm. Thank you too to Iza, who worked so hard behind the scenes to make it all look easy. I can assure you that it isn't. I'm bowing out now, but rest assured, IoT Now and Vanilla Plus will continue to bring you the market-leading webinar series on a regular basis. So from me and from everyone here at IoT Now, bye for now.